very excited to share with you our latest work on privacy-preserving human activity recognition. This is a joint work with my colleague Johnson Wu, Sabrina Sagafi, and my advisor, Professor Yanush Karan and Professor Prakash Ishwar. So in the future, we will have a smart environment that are equipped with sensors and can interact with its occupants to provide higher productivity, better energy efficiency, and improve the health. To be more specific, the room can provide you activity-based control. For example, it detects you're lying down on a couch and it will dim the background light, saving energy that isn't really needed. The room can also enable the visible light communication when it detects you're working on your mobile devices. This can improve the productivity. And it can also provide you with task-optimized lighting. For example, when it knows you're working on a desktop, it can adjust the background light and reducing the screen glare to reduce your eye strain. So to achieve these goals, activity recognition is a critical component. The problem of activity recognition has been studied intensively during the past few decades, and decent result has been achieved even under very challenging circumstances. Traditionally, the problem can be solved by given multiple cameras capturing at sufficient resolutions. But when the application is gradually growing to your living area, and for example, do you want to be captured like this? Or do you want to be captured like this? Or do you want to be captured doing this? Unfortunately, if you use traditional algorithm, yes, you will, because they need sufficient resolutions. And here is the question we need, is the privacy violations. So this problem has been noticed by a lot of people, and a lot of solutions has been proposed to address this issue. The common idea is to degrade the data. You can do it either after acquisition, for example, the work from Winkler's group in ABS 2014, to cartoon the data after they capture it. They blur the data in a specific area and keep the texture in the remaining area. Or we can do this before acquisition. For example, there's a very nice work here in this CVPR by Peter Luga's group. They put a privacy-preserving optical lens in front of the camera, and they mask the face before they capture it. The common things in these solutions is that they still use high resolution cameras. So we go to an opposite direction by proposing the solution of using only low resolution luminance sensors. The benefits lies in twofold. The first is the low cost. For the bandwidth, the storage and the streaming for this low resolution data is very cheap. Second, the cost for processing power and the processing time is also very low. The second benefit is you don't need to worry about any privacy compromising data getting collected at any point. So we noticed that, yes, reduced resolution can help protect the privacy, but it also reduced the information in the data. Here is some here's some video example from XMS dataset showing you the trade-off between spatial resolution and utility. In the leftmost column, we have the original data. And we decimate the data into spatial resolution of 50 by 50, 10 by 10, 3 by 3, and 1 by 1, just for visualization. As you can see, as the spatial resolution goes down, it's getting harder and harder to tell who the person is, but it's also more difficult to tell what he's doing or she's doing. And the trade-off exists not only in the spatial resolution, it also exists in the temporal resolution and number of cameras. And this research is to characterize such trade-offs in all these resolutions versus the utility. So to conduct this study, we have three possible approaches. First, we can build a physical testbed, meaning we manufacture or we buy those low-resolution sensors and weld them together and synchronize them and make it work. The advantage is everything is real, especially the sensor is real, but it's very expensive. For example, you need to buy sensors at different spatial resolution, different temporal resolution, And we need to synchronize them and make them work. It's a cost on money, on manpower, and on time. The other disadvantage is the physical test bed is hard to reconfigure. Every time we come up with new camera settings, we will need to incorporate new sensors and ask people to come and record training data. Option number 2 is to use existing data set like Express data set. These data sets are easily accessible and well known. And the good news is that for the high resolution data, they're using real sensor to capture it. But how about low resolution data? You can only obtain it by doing decimation. And it's impossible to reconfigure. The camera viewpoint, the subjects, and the actions are fixed. Option number 3 is to build a simulated test bed. Nowadays, there are many powerful tools can finish these tasks. For example, we have Unity 3D test bed software. We have Unreal build engines. All these can do such task. These simulated test beds are fully reconfigurable, and the cost is lower. But the problem is it's idealized data, it's synthetic data, or in a way, or simply one sentence is not real. So in our study, we test on all these 3 approaches. So in the next, I'll first introduce our feature extraction method and our classification method because they're same on all these 3 approaches. Recall that the input is basically as low resolution luminous videos. And if you consider each pixel, it's only a 1D time series. So we first extract a region of interest based on background subtraction. This is to localize the subject inside the video. And then because the video comes from different frame lengths, we interpolate them to fixed lengths to do the temporal alignment later on. And for each pixel, we do a mean variation normalization. We subtract the mean because the different closing can cause luminous bias. And we scaling by standard deviation is because people do actions in their own styles. Some people are more timid, some people are more, exaggerating. So we want to compensate for that. And finally, we get our features. Here are 2 example features we extracting from single pixel scenarios. We include 2 actions here. One is sitting, one is lowering hand. In each plot, we have 4 samples. As you can see, the shape or the dynamic of the same actions are similar. So this gives us hope in the later on classification. So for the classification, we use a single nearest neighbor under L1 distance. And we report performance metric using correct classification rate with the testing mechanism of leave person out cross-validation. Leave person out cross-validation meaning during the test, all the samples performed by the query test is removed from the training test, the training data set. And there is minor difference between the way how we do this on the synthetic data set and existing data set. And this is explained in detail in our paper. So now let's go to the simulate and test bed. So here we show the pipeline of how we simulate the test bed. We first record real motion using Kinect V2 sensors and then retrieve skeleton data using the Kinect skeleton pose estimator. And we create simulated room in Unity 3D. We mount 5 sensors on the ceiling looking at the room, and we mapped the real skeleton data onto the avatar to animate it. And below we show the high resolution video of what is captured inside the sensor. Note that this is only for visualization. The highest resolution we tested is only 10 by 10. Okay. So also you may ask the question that why you put semi here in the title. This is because the room is not, the test bed is not completely synthetic. The motion we use is based on real subject, and only the appearance here is synthetic. The dataset consists of 12 subjects performing 9 actions, each action performed 3 times. The actions are carefully chosen to fit in the context of a seminar room environment. For example, we have raising hand, clapping, answering phone, sitting down, so on and so forth. We map these skeleton data onto avatars, and we've captured with 5 virtual luminous sensors. So here we report correct classification rate versus change of spatial resolution. We fixed the temporal resolution at 30 Hertz and used 5 cameras. The spatial resolution changed from 10 by 10 all the way to single pixel. We see the variation from 10 by 10 to 3 by 3 is kind of small, but we have bigger drop from 3 by 3 down to single pixel. But still, we have around 75% using only single pixel, using only 5 single pixel cameras. This is very surprising. Then we again fixed the spatial resolution and number of cameras test on temporal resolution. Then interestingly, even we dropped temporal resolution from 30 Hertz to 2 Hertz, the performance only dropped by 3%. This is mainly because the action we choose is based on the similar rule. We lack high frequency component, unlike some sport data set. They have a higher frequency component. Also, we fixed the spatial resolution and temporal resolution and report CCR versus number of cameras. First is using all 5 cameras. Then we use a subset of 5 cameras. We choose 3 out of 5. The result here is the average result of all possible combinations of choosing 3 cameras from 5 cameras. And here is the average result of using only 1 cameras. So we see the information drop from 3 to 1 impact more than the information drop from 5 to 3. Next, we progress to using the existing data set, which is Xmas data set. So Xmas data set, the Xmas data set we use is an ROI version. This is basically a zoom-in version, focusing more on the avatars, or on subjects, I'm sorry. The data set is similar to our data set in the sense of size. It contains 12 actions, 10 subjects recorded with 5 cameras. And it's different from our data set in the sense of the action they choose and the camera viewpoint. And we decimate the high resolution data to get low resolution data. So in this presentation, we'll only report the CCR versus spatial resolution. In the green plot is the result of Xmas data set, and in the blue plot is the result of simulated data set. We can see the similar trend between 2 data sets, and approximately 10% drop in the real data set. But still surprisingly, we have 63% using 5 single pixel luminance sensors. And note that the other algorithm we use for now is very simple and naive. And we're very excited to see how much we can improve if we can incorporate with more sophisticated algorithms. And then we progress to the physical test bed. This is very new work. Actually, we're still in progress, but we're very excited to share with you. So we do the test bed in BU using 6 single pixel luminance sensors capturing at 8 Hertz. And here are the example of the sensor we use. They're manufactured in RPI. And for now, we want to define 2 very simple actions. We have frontal raising hand and lateral raising hand. So as you can see, raising hand lateral change loop color to yellow. And if you raise hand frontal, it will change loop color to blue. So the conclusions. First of all, activity recognition is still achievable using such limited data set. And for now, we only focus on very simple actions because this is still a preliminary work. And from a theoretical perspective, it's very interesting to ask the question that, can we characterize the fundamental trade-off between resolution and activity recognition, which is similar in the spirit to the trade-off between rate and distortion in information theory. And nowadays, everybody is tend to use more and more data. We're all familiar with the unfolding big data revolution. But when privacy is brought into the picture, we might not want to big data. It's interesting to ask the question that, how little data do we need to collect to accomplish a task? We can find more on the link here in our BU website. Thanks for your attention.